Hi everyone, welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Wednesday, December 20th, 2023, and this is episode 274. I'm Carol, also known as Knits and Pearls on Ravelry, and I live east of Vancouver in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada, where it's turned into a pretty nice day. We woke up to fog this morning, but it has since burned off, and even though there's still some cloud cover, the sunshine is peeking through and it is all quite pleasant. Definitely better than rain. We've even had a little bit of snow since I last spoke with you. That was not this past weekend, but the weekend before. Didn't last very long, didn't stick around, so just enough to be pretty, not enough to really be a nuisance. The perfect kind of snow, in other words. Before I get into the yarny business at hand, I have a bit of a public service announcement for you. So late yesterday afternoon, all of a sudden my phone started pinging with incoming emails. And in a little less than an hour and a half, I had received over 250 emails, all of the spammy sort. Apparently I had signed up for all sorts of newsletters and joined different websites, etc., etc., etc. So I knew something was up. And I did what I usually do, I Googled it. And what I learned is that sometimes fraudsters will flood your inbox with spam in the hopes of obscuring a legitimate email that might indicate some fraudulent activity. And in one of the things I read about, a woman had gone through the same sort of thing, and it turned out her Amazon account had been hacked, and she was able to find the order, cancel it, and then obviously take steps to protect her account. So I started going through the emails, and either the first one or one of the first that had come through caught my eye because it appeared to be from one of our banks. And this particular bank is an online only bank, and you access it via an account through a more local bank. And so according to this email, a new external link, in other words, another external bank account had been linked to this account. And it said within a couple days you'll start doing this, and click here and you'll be able to see this here, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, okay, this is either spam and they want me to click on this link, or it's legitimate and somebody has hacked our account. So got on the phone to the bank, finally got to talk to a human, and sure enough, there'd actually been two accounts linked. One had begun the day before, about 24 hours before the second one, but apparently there is a 48-hour waiting period before they're active. And so thankfully I caught it in time, and they were able to lock the account, and I will be getting a new identity and password, etc., etc. Needless to say, it's been rather upsetting and worrisome, stressful. My stomach just still feels like it's in a knot. I always say I feel things through my stomach. It thankfully does not appear that any of my other accounts or anything have been affected. Knock wood, and I am waiting to hear back from the security division of our bank. So there may be a phone call. I'm really hoping to hear from them. Otherwise, I'm going to have to call back and sit on hold and find out the status of things later on. So yeah, just be aware. If this happens to you, there's likely I was going to say a good reason for it, more like a bad reason for it. And of course, a lot of fraudulent activities taking place now around the holidays. And what I actually discovered this morning, because I think I was thinking about it overnight. No, I did not have a very good sleep. I checked to see if I had received an email yesterday afternoon when this other breach apparently happened, and I just hadn't noticed it. So ironically, if they hadn't spammed me, I may not have noticed in time. So thank you for spam. Anyway, I am not gonna let those scum of the earth people bring me down. I am going to proceed with this episode as I planned and try to just think of more pleasant things. So there are a couple of make-alongs that are currently drawing to a close in the A Stitch in Time podcast Ravelry group, and there will be 2 new ones beginning January 1st. So another year of stash will close December 31st. That has been the year-long chatter thread. And then a prize for that will be awarded in the first regular episode of 2024. Seems so strange to hear or to say. And then as of December 31st, you will no longer be able to cast on a project for your Yarn of the Month Club for December, but you do have until the end of January to finish it. And then prize for that will be announced the first regular episode of February 2024. And then January 1st, there are 2 new make-alongs starting. One is Smash the Stash. Is it Smash the Stash or Smash Your Stash? I can't remember what I settled on, but you will see it. And it's basically going to run exactly the same way as the Year of the Stash did in 2022 and another Year of Stash in 2023. Only prizes will only be awarded quarterly. And then there are going to be 4 quarterly make-alongs taking place next year, the first of which is Sweater Weather, which is sweaters and other large garments or major garments. In other words, not like socks and hats, but sweater type garments. And you will have that will run for 3 months, and then 2 prizes. One for finished projects, one for chatter thread will be awarded first regular episode of April. So I have done a video discussing the rules and guidelines for these make-alongs, which can be found on YouTube, on the blog, and in the Ravelry group. There is a thread with it in the Ravelry group where you can feel free to talk about the new make-alongs and ask any questions. And just as an update to that, for the major garments make-along, works in progress are permitted for adult-sized garments, provided they're less than 50% completed. Everything else you have to cast on and finish within the 3-month time period. However, what I have decided is, because the last quarter make-along it's going to be called All of the Above. In other words, it's going to encompass all the sorts of projects that were included in the other 3 quarters. I'm going to say whips of any sort are going to count for that make-along. And I think I should say as long as they're 50% done. I think that's a fair way of doing it. And that way, if you don't happen to finish a project from the first, second, or third quarters, that's a great time to finish them up. I know I have lots of plans, and they may exceed my ability to achieve them within the prescribed time period. And so just the idea that the last 3 months of the year will be there for finishing things up, I think that's just a nice way to end the year. So hopefully you approve. You can also do new projects, though, like that. You're not limited to works in progress, but at least it gives you that opportunity. So be sure to check out that video and the or the show notes for that video for the gist of things. And then I'm going to probably before January put up the make along threads in the Ravelry group, but lock them. I'm just going to have more time before Christmas than after Christmas to do that. So they'll be there. You'll be able to read them. You just won't be able to participate or to comment until I unlock them. I hope that I am able to do that either very late on December 31st or very early on January 1st. No guarantees. Depends what we end up doing on New Year's and if I remember. I know I've got to unlock or make the sock season videos live, and sometimes I'm halfway through Sunday before I remember. So I just want to take a look and see if there's anything else about that that I had written down. Oh, I was going to say, as far as plans, my own plans go, I, at like plans for 2024, crafting plans, I do intend, I'm hoping tomorrow or Friday, to record a kind of a 2023 recap and a 2024 preview of what I've got planned for the year. So keep your eye out for that. If I do that, I will most likely put it up between Christmas and New Year's so that I have another video going up rather than putting them all in the same week. All right, I think that's all I have to say about that. I don't have tons of knitting to show you, but I did finish a project today that I've been having to work on in secret and really wanted to get done prior to Christmas, and it was about just after 12:30 today. I wove in the last end. So these are the bamboo rib socks that I've knit for Cameron, my husband, for Christmas. I used yarn from Sweet Fiber. It's the Super Sweet Sock, and it is yarn that I received as part of the fall 2022, yes, 2022 fall sock club, and the colorway is called Smolder. So it's kind of a mix of brown and dark gray. And when I had set it aside as part of my personal sock yarn club for this year, when I pulled it out, I thought it would be more suitable for Cameron than for me. Not that I couldn't have a pair of brown socks, but I knew it was one that I could knit for him. And it would kind of serve the dual purpose of using my personal sock yarn club yarn and gave me a good reason to cast on a pair of socks for him for Christmas. So this is Follow the Pattern from Toe Up by Chrissy Gardner. And I was looking for a pattern that was 68 stitches around. Sometimes you find 72 stitches too loose, but I think 64 would be too tight. So, and I thought with the rib it would also pull it in. So this pattern that I used has, I think there's, I want to say 6 different choices for 2x2 ribbed patterning. So I chose bamboo rib, which basically is just 2x2 rib, and every so many rows you do a purl ridge, and just help to make it a little more interesting. You can see that brown and kind of dark gray stripiness kind of happening there. The pattern does call for a short row heel. I substituted a German short row heel for the wrap and turn that was used in the pattern. And then the pattern also instructs you just to do the bamboo rib all the way to the cuff, but I decided that I would stop here and then do the rest in 2x2 rib. Again, just partly just to break it up a little bit. I felt, I don't know, I just decided to do that. I don't really have to explain why. It was just a decision. So these are actually damp. I blocked them kind of the lazy way. I did not soak them and put them on the sock blockers like I usually do. I just put them on the sock blockers and then I sprayed them with some warm water and kind of used my fingers to kind of press out. Like, this was quite creased, this line from the short row heel, and you can see this isn't quite flat, but it's good enough. I will tuck these somewhere to finish drying where he will not see them, and then I'll be able to wrap them up probably. Well, I was going to say put them in his stocking. His stocking is so small, it's not much bigger than one of these socks. His sister made it for him. Like, she made them for all the family when she was, I think, a teenager. And they are ridiculously small, but it's his stocking from his childhood, and it's the one he, you know, has sentimental value, so that's the one he uses. But yeah, you can't fit very much in there. Maybe a small mandarin orange. Anyway, and a candy cane. Anyway, I'm really, really glad to be finished these, because now I can work on what I really want to be working on, and that is my blanket of cheer and my Scrappy Advent socks that I'm making from the leftovers. So I won't go into great detail. I recently talked about my blanket of cheer. I am knitting it out of Vibra-Nymph Dyeworks 2022 Holiday Countdown Collection, The Art of Contrast. And then I am pairing mitered squares made from those minis with leftovers from stripy Vibra-Nymph Dyeworks yarns, and creating essentially Afghan blocks that I will sew all together once I finish. So what I decided to do for Advent is I used my old last year's Davis T Advent calendar, and I put all the different mini skeins in the appropriate day. And then I've been pulling them out, and some are full skeins, in which case I get four mitered squares, and then I have enough left to do, it's averaging about 6 rounds in each scrappy sock. In some cases, I've already made 4 mitered squares and made blocks out of those colorways, in which case I just need to add a stripe to my stripy socks. And then in some cases I've done like 2 already, and I have to make another 2 and then do the stripy. So it just varies, but here, why don't I don't have these in order, but like there's the purple, yellow, beautiful jade. I am now working with color 12. So much fun. Bright green, neon pink, gray, not quite as exciting, but still, you need some neutrals in there. Anyway, I won't show them all to you, but here's my bag of finished squares. That is definitely growing. And here's my latest square in progress. So I'm knitting them on I think it's 3mm needles. These are the Knit Pro Zings, I think they're called. And then I've been using this beautiful butterfly Progress Keeper to mark the center. And I got this with my Vibra-Nymph Dyeworks Lepidoptera Yarn and Fiber Club. So I've been alternating between this butterfly, and then we also received, is it in here? Whoops, there goes a needle. I'll get that later. Oh yeah. So another Progress Keeper I've been using came with last year's Art of Contrast collection. And so I'm sometimes using that also. Just whatever strikes my fancy, helps keep it interesting. I have not gotten bored with this project. In fact, if I have a choice, this is what I reach for. And I'm so happy I no longer have to feel guilty about reaching for it instead of Cameron socks, off my list. What was I gonna say? Oh, so I was gonna show you the Scrappy socks. So I have them knit up to color 10. So this is color 10. And my original plan was to use color 10 for heels, toes, and cuffs because I decided not to use this color in my blanket just because it's very close to the plain vanilla that I am using for the borders on all the blocks. And so I thought, well, that's what I'll do, is use this for heels, toes, and cuffs. And I hadn't planned to add a stripe of this into the socks. But then as I was working on them, I thought, you know what, it's part of the color progression, and so I decided that I would. So I have these socks done up to color 10. I have color 11 waiting to go in, and then color 12 I'm still working with. Here's the thing. So, you know, these don't look very long, and I sort of was thinking before I add the next color, I should figure out how many rows I have to knit before it's time to do the heel. And so I pulled out another scrappy pair of socks that I had done out of the Bounce base of Fiber Nymph Dye Works, and I counted the rows between the end of the toe and the beginning of the heel, and it was 54. Well, it just so happens that 54 falls somewhere in this stripe that I just did. So I overshot the heel by a little bit, but then I thought, this is perfect, because what I'm going to do is insert the heel in the middle of this stripe. It won't matter if I have an extra row or two on, you know, yeah, it won't matter if I have an extra row or two before I do the heel. It's not going to make that much difference. But I thought, how perfect is that? So I'm going to have this stripe landing exactly at the heel, and so that's just great. So yes, I do have to pick back some rows, and unfortunately I cut the yarn. But what I think I'm going to do is I might take it back the whole way, knit my 2 rows or whatever I need before I do the heel, and then and use that with this yarn, and then I can add this yarn, use it for the cuff if necessary. The other thing that I'm thinking is, so when I did this German short row heel, I followed a tutorial that I've been using for a German short row heel with a contrasting color. And I knew that in that video that they did work across the instep, or you can do a couple of rows across the instep as part of it. Or she shows you a way that you don't have to do that. So I thought, well, I think I said last episode I was going to take yarn from the other end of the ball to do the short row heel. I didn't. I ended up just continuing. And then what I did is I did work 2 rounds across the instep before doing the second half of the heel, as was instructed in part of her video. So I thought for this one would actually work out really well to do, this is a 6 row stripe. So what I'm going to do is do 2 rows, start the heel, do those 2 rows through the instep, and then finish the second half of the heel, and then do 2 more rows. So I'll end up on the front with a 6 row stripe, and I will not have to break the yarn in order to add in the heel. It's probably a lot of words, and hopefully that makes sense. But when I realized sort of where I was, it just seemed very serendipitous. I thought, well, that's perfect. So yeah, it's a pain. I'm going to have to take out some knitting, but that's okay. I'm just really happy with the way I think it's going to turn out. And then once that's done, I can just keep adding my stripes. I don't know how long this sock is going to end up being. If I'm finding that after adding in all the colors, that it's not quite as long as I want it to be, then I might just add in a few stripes of some other leftover semi-solids of the bounce base, because I do have some that don't have enough to knit a mitered square, or sorry, I don't have enough to knit 2 mitered squares out of it. I need a minimum, be able to make a minimum of 2 in order to make 1 Afghan block. So if I don't have enough to do that, I certainly could add some stripes into these socks, and that would be fine. I mean, I'm trying to start with the advents and use them in the order, but then if it turned out that I had to add a few more colors, well, this whole blanket is going to be using some extra colors anyway. So doesn't bother me. I think that's a great way to use up just those little bits that aren't really enough for anything else. So yes, loving those 2 projects. Loving, loving, loving. I think I showed this to you. Yeah, I did show you. Last episode, I think I had 1 cuff done and 1 cast on for my vintage tinsel socks. This is yarn from West Yorkshire Spinners. It's their signature 4-ply sparkle base. You can see that just sparkling away. And this is the vintage tinsel colorway. So I haven't done a ton more. All I've done is that much, I think, on both of them. Has not been a priority. I've been mostly working on my blanket of cheer and my scrappy socks when I have that kind of knitting time. But these will get some work over the holidays, I'm sure. And there's no timeline for them to be done. It's just one of my plain vanilla socks that I like to have on the go. And so no pressure there. Yeah, that's it for projects. So just the 4 things that I've been working on for the last little bit. I shouldn't, but I have some acquisitions. Oh, my tea's gone cold. I am gonna go warm that up before I show you what came in the mail this week. I am drinking some, what's it called? Candy Cane Crush from David's Tea. So that's as you might think, a peppermint flavored tea. So I'm gonna go warm this up, and then I'm gonna come back, show you what came in the mail, and then also talk a little bit about what's been happening around here in the last couple of weeks. So I'll be right back. The first thing I have to show you is my 3rd and final shipment from Fiber Nymph Dye Works Lepidoptera Club. Look, I said the word without messing it up. I don't know why I've had such a mental block with that word, but it means butterflies and moths. So November's colorway was inspired by the Cecropia moth. Here's a picture of it, and it is huge. 5 to 7 inch wingspan. That's 13 to 18 centimeters for those of you who prefer metric. They're found east of the Rocky Mountains in the US and Canada. Lisa says she herself has never seen one, but she included a really interesting story about one that found its way from Ontario to Newfoundland in Canada. Here it is. This time around I got the assorted weights edition, and so my first shipment was, I believe, on Bounce, if I remember right, and then I think the second was a sport weight. This is the strong DK base. So these colors represent the moth itself. The soft mossy green represents its environment, and then the soft periwinkle, there's a spot on each wing that's this color. So I will probably do a little pop of color at the top of the cuff with this one, and then use this for the heel. Not sure, but that's sort of my plan. This is going to be tucked away to be knit on most likely later next year. But red's my favorite color, and I love red, gray, and white together. So yeah, very happy to get that. And then I had not really planned to do any Black Friday or Small Business Saturday or I forget what else. There's like the weekend, Cyber Monday, all of those shopping days. I hadn't really intended to purchase yarn. And then I got I think it was mid-weekend, if I remember correctly, a little newsletter from Fiber Nymph Dye Works showing some colorways that had just gone up in the shop that are from her Tolkien collection for this year. And, well, I couldn't resist them. So I got this one is Second Breakfast Pie. So it's one of the pie colorways where the stripes are of various widths and non-repeating. And this is on the bounce base. So that's the 80/20 superwash merino nylon. And then this one is called Under the Party Tree, and it's on the Mountain Tweed BFL base. Like, I just love these colors. I couldn't resist. And then there was another one, but somebody got to it before I did, which is probably not a bad thing. And then I decided to round out my order. She had some sets of minis that were like grab bag sort of. So I don't have all of them here with me because I've tucked a couple of them away, I think with other skeins to use them for heels and toes, but I put these in here with these colors because I thought they'd go. So there's this bedazzle. I have bounce and bedazzle, so these are sparkly, but I thought that would make great heels and toes for that colorway. This possibly also, or no, I think I had this for the other one. Yeah, so, okay, probably just green. So I had tucked in with this. Then there was this one, which I thought might be good for this colorway, although in some, mostly this is pink, but in some places it looks like it's this color, so I'm not sure. But there was also this quite neutral one, which I thought I could use equally well. And then I realized that this skein, this mini skein, is, if not the same, very similar to color 10 from last year's Holiday Countdown collection. On my phone, they look more different than they look in real life. But I thought in a pinch I can use this to finish out the cuff in my scrappy socks. So I just thought I would see what I got and figured I could use them for heels and toes with various colorways I hadn't purchased minis with or hadn't received them with. So I can't remember what color the other ones were, but I know I matched them up to some other skeins. So I did not really expect to, I received those prior to my Lepidoptera Club. And I had not really intended to buy any more yarn. I actually have some really good plans set out for next year, and I'm very excited about them, and I'm hoping they will prevent me from purchasing more yarn, because heaven knows I don't need. I've got so many new things I really want to work with. But then with our Lepidoptera Club shipment came a early bird access and special discount for the next Lepidoptera Club, which begins, I think, February. And of course I had to go sign up. So there will be more butterfly and moth inspired skeins coming into my home next spring. I'm curious. So far we've had one butterfly and 2 moths, so we'll see how the ratio works out for the next installment. But I decided, yeah, I was gonna go for it. So look for that next year. But other than that, I'm just gonna try really hard to resist buying things, which can be difficult, as I'm sure many of you know. There's so much promise in new yarn, The problem is, it's kind of like eating. We used to have this expression, your eyes are bigger than your stomach, for when you have more food than you can consume. You take more food than you can consume. And I think that's what happens with me and yarn. I have so many plans, but I can't knit that fast. So I need to, you know, really think twice before I press buy. Anyway, my life. Do you want to know what's been going on the last couple of weeks? Lots of Christmas preparation. I am happy to say all the gifts have been bought and wrapped. I did Christmas cards over the last couple days. They got mailed this morning, and yes, I know they will be late for Christmas, but they're out. Last year I ran out of time, and I always regret that, because there's certain people I only reach out. We only connect once a year, and I want to keep that connection. And so I was just determined to do them this year. I just have to wrap Cameron's socks. And then yesterday I picked up his 12 beers of Christmas. And so I've done this the last few years. I get like a wine box and number 12 different types of beers, 1 to 12, and then he pulls one out each day. It's kind of like an advent calendar for after Christmas. And he's always enjoyed that, and he's someone he's difficult to buy for. I'm sure he's not the only man who's difficult to buy for. And then this year, we also decided we weren't doing anything big, because we have 2 big occasions happening next year, a birthday and an anniversary. And so we decided we wanted to do some kind of holiday to celebrate. And so we're gonna kind of save towards that instead. Let me just look. I'm gonna turn the page here in my notebook. Oh yeah, we had a lot of fun last Saturday night at Cameron's work Christmas party. I know a lot of people do not enjoy going to those events. We always look forward to it. They always have a very nice dinner, open bar, and a live band. And we love to dance. And so we like getting dressed up and going. And this year was no exception. And what was even better is after, for many years, it was held very close to home, literally within a 5-minute drive. And then the last number of years, we kind of outgrew the venue that they were using, and it was held closer to Vancouver. And so we've ended up staying over, where this year it came back this way and was once again just a few minutes away. And so that was even better. We could sleep in our own beds that night. Curling. This week we played our last 2 games of the year. What they generally do for a lot of the evening leagues, and you just play 4 ends, and then go upstairs and have a drink and a visit with your opposing team. And at one time, prior to being in the new rink that we have now, we would just all bring some appetizers to share, chips and dip or cheese and crackers, that kind of thing. And just with new regulations and stuff, because this place has a restaurant attached and stuff, we're not allowed to bring our own food anymore, but they did have a deal on appetizers if you wanted to order them. We opted not to, just both couples and both us and the couple we curl with had already had dinner and stuff, but we did sit and have a visit with the other team and a drink, and it was a nice way to end that league. And then yesterday was really fun. So I curl in a Tuesday morning ladies league, and so again we just played 4 ends, but even though, well, what we did, we came in, we didn't know any of this was going to happen. So we came in and we learned that they were mixing up all the teams. And so you were assigned to a new team and told which sheet of ice you were playing on, but you weren't told which position. You worked that out for yourself. And they tried to do it, so it was people who did not normally play with each other. And so that was really cool. It was a good way to meet some new people, for sure. And then you played your end, but you didn't count your score up. You left all the rocks where they were. And then there was an envelope at each end of the ice, and you pulled out from the envelope how you were going to score that end. And most of them had nothing to do with how the rocks ended up. So I think the first end, it was whoever had the oldest, most beat up curling shoes got 4 points for their team. The second end was whoever could produce a piece of gum or a mint fastest got 4 points for their team. And a few weeks ago, I'd had a cough and I'd stuffed some mints into my vest pocket. So I just unzipped my pocket and there it was. So we got 4 points for our team. So it was tied after one. And then the third one was, there's an area in front of the curling house. If you've ever seen the rings, that's the house. In front of the house is your free guard zone in certain places. Whoever had the most guards in the free zone guard zone got 4 points for their team. We didn't have any. So they got 4 points, they had 2. And then the last one was, whoever had the oldest grandson got 3 points for their team. So person on our team had the oldest grandson, but we only got 3 points. So it ended like 8-7. Didn't count for anything, it was just for bragging rights. So that was fun, and then we went upstairs and had a little bit of entertainment. The team that was organizing this party did a little song and activity song kind of thing, and then someone else sang a song about the first one was to the tune of I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus, and it had to do with being a member of a curling team and a curling club and all the funny stuff. And then this other woman sang a song about, basically it was about Christmas dinner and all of the things that she'd made that people couldn't eat because they were lactose intolerant or gluten-free or, you name it, right? Dairy, all that stuff. So it was quite funny. And then we had a taco bar for lunch. So beef and chicken tacos and dessert squares and stuff. It was a lot of fun. We got to sit with our regular team for that. But yeah, it was a really nice way to end the curling first half, and then we'll be heading back not the first week of January but the second, so we got a couple of weeks off. Okay, as I mentioned, I'm hoping to record a recap and preview video hopefully tomorrow. My daughter-in-law Stephanie is coming over in the morning for some knitting help, so part of it will depend on how long she stays. Also, there's obviously stuff going on with this fraud thing. I don't know if I'm going to end up having to do anything with that. There's also some other things going on, so depending, I'm hoping to do that tomorrow. Friday at the latest, but we are looking after our 2 younger grandkids Friday evening while their parents go to a Christmas work function. Let me see what else. So the weekend should be pretty mellow. We are not having Christmas dinner here this year. We're going to our daughter's house, and so I am making a dessert to take, but other than that, that's my extent of Christmas dinner prep this year, so that's awesome. So I'm thinking that's Saturday and Sunday are going to be pretty mellow. Probably the least busy in any year, except maybe COVID year. I don't know. I do have some house cleaning and stuff I want to do, and I have some pair of pants I need to hem because I want to wear them on Christmas Day. But other than that, not anything too onerous. And like I said, all the things are more or less bought and wrapped and ready to go. So after Christmas, Boxing Day, we are heading to Victoria to go see my mother-in-law, and we will stay with my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. And I think I might have mentioned this, that we're having my mom stay with us for about a week after Christmas, and so she's going to come to Victoria with us. So she's quite excited about that, and I am too. I think that'll be fun for her because it's been many years since she's been, and that'll just give the visit just a different flavor than it normally has. It's just a little bit different. So I think that she will enjoy seeing my mother-in-law, and I think my mother-in-law, she may not recognize her when she walks in the door, but when we tell her who she is, I think she'll know who my mom is. It'll be interesting to see. She does have a form of dementia, and her short-term memory is not very good. Her long-term memory tends to be much better. But it has been many years since she has seen my mom. But if we ever mention her or show her a picture, she seems to know who she is. So that'll be interesting. And on the 29th, my side of the family is all gathering for an evening, doing appetizers. Everyone provides something, and then exchanging what we call our Christmas pie presents. So we've had a list of who's attending, drawn names, and I've bought a small gift. So that's always lots of fun, handing those out and seeing what people get. My two nieces in particular, I think one is not going to be there though this year. They kind of play off each other while they hand out presents, and it ends up being quite hilarious. And then we are going most likely to drive my mom home on New Year's Day, and we'll likely get up quite early and go there and back in one day, and then have December 2nd to just relax before Cameron heads back to work on the 3rd. He's taking the whole week off between Christmas and New Year, so that's really nice, but it's going to be kind of go. So which brings us, I guess, to the end of the episode. All that's left is something good, and there are many good things at this time of year. I really do enjoy the holiday season and getting together with family. Just to me, Christmas is all about family, and it's not about the getting, it's about the giving. Been enjoying having Christmas decorations up around the house and the tree and all of that. And then probably today, most importantly, I am just so relieved that I caught this bank fraud in time before it actually took place. Well, I guess the fraud took place, but before any money was siphoned out of our account. Because it's bad enough knowing it was attempted. I would have just felt even more sick if it had actually happened. Yeah, not a great thing to be happening just before the holidays, but very grateful that it was not worse. So yes, be mindful of that. If see anything suspicious like that, as far as emails go, get on it right away. And with that, I would like to wish you all a very happy holiday season, and a very happy and healthy 2024. I look forward to seeing you sort of more or less in real time in the new year. And in the meantime, look for another special episode next week, and you'll have an idea of what I'll be up to in the new year. So take care, everyone. Thank you so much for watching all year, for your participation in the Ravelry group, and for your continued thumbs up and comments, kind comments on YouTube and on Ravelry and in personal messages. You guys are the best. That should actually be my something good, the biggest something good for this episode, because without you, there would be no point in me doing what I do. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's time to go. See you next year. Take care till then.